Okay, now 5 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'll take roll call. Ms. Dean,
Present.
Vice President Begay,
Present.
myself present, Secretary Terrazas,
Present.
Mr. Guadiana,
Present.
and Micaela.
Present.
We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico as the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Okay. Well, I guess we have to do 2 first. Okay, that moves us on to 2 public input on agenda items. And just if anybody wants to do public input, there should be forms on that table to fill out before. So no public input on agenda items. So that moves us on to 3 action items. A is approval of agenda items.
Madam President, I have a few additions and changes and deletions.
Okay,
So I'd like to request that we move 10B, that's the new and interim principal introduction. Move that after 3A, immediately after this current item. And then after that, move 10J, acknowledgement. After that, move 10I, high school graduation. Following that, 12B, use of the high school track. And then I'd like to ask that we combine 10E with 12A, that's the legislative session. And then there's 3 items that I'd like to delete from the agenda. 9A, the elementary gym project. 9C, the central water pond project. And 10A, the union president report.
and I'd like to make a change even before 10B. I'd like to move 11, student representatives report. Which one did you want to combine? 12E and
10E and 12A. The legislative
10E
session
and
update.
12A. Okay. Do we have any other changes? Any discussion? So I'd like to make a motion or entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the changes made.
So moved, Madam President.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Terrazas is with second. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Okay, so that moves us on to 11, which is the student representative report.
Good afternoon, Madam President and Board and Superintendent. First, I would like to talk about how the NHS new inductees were just admitted into NHS. and we had our whole ceremony, and it was really nice and it was really fun, and it was especially for all of the already present members, everyone really had a part. So it was just really fun to see everyone else who was coming up to NHS. Key Club will be having their leadership trip here soon, so that should be really fun. And then, other than that, there isn't much. Oh, I had people ask me to make specific requests for the breakfast that we're eating. There were multiple kids who apparently weren't happy with bacon. They would rather have sausage. That was a request that I got a lot. Oh, and then also to change the bread pudding. They do not like the bread pudding. And then, would I be able to speak about the graduation plan now?
I think we have that coming up in just a minute.
Okay. But other than that, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that moves us to 10B, the new interim principal at Bayard Elementary.
Actually, there's two new positions. One, we have an interim principal at San Lorenzo, and we have a new principal at Bayard Elementary. I want to introduce the interim principal first, and you probably all know her. Just a little bit about her. She's lived on a cattle ranch for the last 17 years. She has two daughters that attend Cobre schools, Claire in the 8th grade at Snell and Amy, a 5th grader at San Lorenzo. She graduated from Western with a degree in elementary education. She started as a pre-K teacher, but then moved into it as a kindergarten teacher, and she's done that for 5 years. She received her master's degree in educational leadership. She's been an instructional coach at Cobre High School and San Lorenzo, and I really appreciate her attention to detail, and that's Shay Biebel. So she's the interim principal at San Lorenzo. The principal at Bayard has been an educator for 31 and a half years. He's been a teacher for 17 years. He's been an instructional math coach for 14 years. He retired in Texas in 2021. Prior to arriving in December, John taught 3rd grade in Carrizozo Municipal Schools. And this is John Olson.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So I appreciate John's concern for safety, and he does a great job of communication.
Okay. Well, thank you for those being in those roles, and welcome. And I know Ms. Biebel. Thank you. Does the board have anything you would like to say?
I didn't get the name of your name?
Shay Biebel.
Shay. And to have Mr. I want to forget, Mr. Corey's competence in that school says volumes. That's something that he has been very reluctant to give that to anybody else, and so the competence must be well earned. I appreciate that.
Just congratulations and welcome. It's nice to see you, Miss Biebel, as a principal. You know, you did a good job with those kindergartners, so I'm sure you'll do well, the whole school.
And Mr. Olson, welcome, and we appreciate your coming, and we look forward to seeing things happen in Bayard that will ensure the safety and the success academically.
Okay, so that moves us on to 10J, acknowledgement.
So I just want to quickly give a shout out to Mr. Avalos. Mr. Avalos took on a new role here back in November, and we did some walkthroughs, which he's going to talk about a little bit later, but we've gotten a lot of things done in the operations and maintenance department, and I want to thank him for all of his hard work doing that. He's, with a small staff, he's gotten a lot of things done in a short amount of time. Thank you, Mr. Avalos.
Thank you. so that will move us on to 10I, high school graduation.
So I asked Ms. Montoya to come and talk about the high school graduation. So you know what's being planned right now, and if you have any other changes, maybe we can discuss that. But she'll give you an overview of what's happening for the graduation ceremony.
Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. I did enlist the help of Mika over here to help because I figured coming from a student, it's more meaningful than from me. So Mika, you may take over.
So first, we plan to have it take place in the gym, and we're wanting to have confetti poppers at the end. And then Mr. Diaz would be the speaker. The principals would hand the diplomas to the students, of course, and the board members would shake hands. The pictures of the students would just be taken by themselves, no one else, with their diploma. And we wanted to do inside because of the weather and the decorations. Mr. Diaz was also planning to put in a form or something for the bleachers to get fixed. Forgot what that's called. And the students were really wanting to decorate caps, and so that is optional. But if they are going to decorate their caps, they have to have a contract. They have to sign a contract. And then all board and admin will be in the front.
How many students are planning to graduate this year?
70 students are planning to graduate.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm excited to see this class graduate. I taught them for 2 years as 7th and 8th graders, so they hold a special place in my heart.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Very excited.
There's no action required, right? This is just
No, sir.
something to say.
Just-
Very good.
Okay, so that moves us to 12B. Or did you want to talk about 12B now or?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, use of Cobre High School track.
So I think somebody had a question about the use of the track.
Ms. Dean did.
Actually, yes. So I had several community members approach me, and they're elderly and they live in the Bayard area. And so what their concern is that there's no real safe place for them to walk. They've tried Snell before, and because of the stairs, it's not very usable. And so they were asking if there's any way that we could find a way to maybe open it for a few hours, or find a way that if people wanted to walk on the track at certain times, they could be safe. Or so it's just kind of a discussion, especially for elderly people or people who can't get around and it's not safe for them just to walk on the streets because of traffic or dogs or because of their age as well. So I'd like it just to be a discussion and maybe just some kind of comment of why it's not open, and maybe if that's something that we can manage.
Ms. Dean, when this was brought to the agenda, I asked because I thought that it was open. Usually it is, but I guess after track practice, it's locked. Mr. Kennan and I were talking. Right now, there's a large gate. If we do leave it open, somebody can drive right onto the track. So we were talking about modifying the gate or adding a new gate that Mr. Kennan, do you want to talk about that gate?
Yeah, I suggested we do a walk-through gate that you can't get anything else through, but I also think we ought to go a step farther and do you've seen it where you it's like a little maze you go through, and that way a person can take a bike or something like that, because we don't want those on the track. And that can be real easy. We can start with just a walk-through gate, so when it stays open, you don't have a car or anything like that. And that should be a real easy fix, and we'll work on that first thing tomorrow.
So what are the hours that that it's available to the community?
Well, my thinking is if we have a walk-in gate like I'm talking about, we can just leave it open. Because again,
I
it's
appreciate
walkers, people can't drive into it. That's our main concern.
Will that
I
work,
appreciate
Ms.
that.
Dean?
Thank you. Yes, and I'll make sure I get that information. And also, it'd be awesome if you could let the community know, especially a lot of people that listen to the news or read the newspaper.
Okay.
Mr. Guadiana?
I'd like to express a few things. One is a little bit of disappointment that this hasn't been accessible throughout this time because we've been given the impression that it has been. And it's very important, especially for people that can't walk a long distance. It's good for people to be able to walk around in a circle and then be still within the proximity of the car, but yet meet the walking distance that they would like to if they can. But the other part too is that we have a walk-in gate that the northwest side of the football field. How is that not? I mean, I can understand locking the gate for the vehicle ones, but right immediately to the right of that gate is one where people can walk through. And also, there's been talk about signage being put up that says what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and is that the case already?
This is the track problem was the first I heard about it today. So I don't see why if they've got a walk-in gate right beside it. And excuse me, but when you use northeast south, I'm always confused in Grant County.
North would be towards the high school, and the west would be towards where the sun sets.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, west I can get.
So
Yeah,
there's some
all
security
this is-
issues with that other gate being left open.
Yes.
So I talked to the high school administration. As far as I knew, that it was being left open. I don't know if it's something that just changed with track practice or not, but the gate's been open normally up until track practice, which just started.
And so is there a posting of allowed or prohibited activities and the hours?
I know we have made signage last year before. I think they should be put up already. We have to them maintenance to put up. Because I know they were made when there was signage for Centaur seats and stuff or at the softball and baseball field. So they should have gone up when those went up. But we can go look tomorrow.
Thank you.
We'll get that walk-in gate fixed so that they can. It really doesn't matter the time because the high school is not secured so that somebody couldn't go back there. So it doesn't really matter.
That's true. But if somebody's there at the hours that it's not supposed to be used, then that would be something that the police could use if we're called to show that they're out of compliance with what is allowed. If you have a time listed, then.
We talked about the signage today, so we'll make sure that some signs are put up.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so that moves us on to action item 3B, approval of regular board meeting of January 23rd minutes.
But I think we missed 10E and 12A. Do we want to combine those
Oh,
somewhere else?
I thought we were just combining them, but you want to talk about them now?
Mr. Guadiana, would you like to keep them at 10A or
Might as well just keep them.
10E? I mean 10E?
Okay. So that puts us at 3B.
I move that we approve the minutes for January 23rd, 2023.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, seeing that there's no discussion, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. That moves us on to 3C, approval of special board meeting of January 30th, 2023.
I move that we approve the minutes for the special board meeting of January 30th, 2023.
And I'll second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. That moves us on to D, approval of bills.
It's the Finance Committee's recommendation that we approve the bills. I'd like to make a motion for approval of the bills.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Vanessa. Okay, discussion.
I have a question. When the Finance Committee reviews these, are they done on a monthly basis or, because this one is $1.2 million of expenditures? So is it done on a monthly basis or is it done whenever they become available?
They're done from meeting to meeting. What I do is I do them, the register wherever the last one left off, and then I'll create another one. It's a continual process from meeting to meeting.
Right now, we're meeting the first and third Monday of the month.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
it just covers the time. There's not really a set period. It's just for whenever the last one cut off, and then when we're preparing the packages for the upcoming meeting, that's what I do.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of approving the bills signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. That moves us on to 3E, approval of SPED bar request. Mrs. Minus, do you want to tell us about it?
This is for a bar of $1,612 for an autism award that was presented to the finance committee. Since it is a small amount, I was planning on dividing it amongst the 6 schools, which leaves each school $268 approximately and some change to purchase educational materials, including technology if they need a site license for students with autism. So I was going to leave that open to the SPED teachers to choose an item.
Madam President, I move for approval of the SPED bar request.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? No? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. That moves us on to 3F, the board policies, second reading.
The policies were posted on our district website, the edited ones and the ones we've adopted. So this is the second reading.
Did you receive any input on the policies?
I have not, no.
Neither have I. Has anyone in the board received input from the public?
No, but I have a question in terms of, is there a space on the website for people submitting concerns?
No, but Victor, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm online. What was that question?
Is there a chance you can put a spot for comments on the policies that we've adopted?
I could definitely look into that for you.
Or perhaps even just adding Dr. Spoletta's email address, because I believe that on the Facebook post that was put out, it was, no, that was for the committees. But yeah, maybe if you could put just the email addresses and they can contact us with any changes.
So you want your guys' contact information on the adopted policies, even though it's underneath the entire Board of Education?
Yeah, that's true.
No, definitely put it there because if they have to go searching, the idea is that they read the policies and they should be able to put in a comment right away rather than unbeknownst to them, they have to look for the board contact information or submit it to the board. We don't have anybody designated as receiving that. We need to put something that's right alongside of the policies that says this is where you submit your comment. However it's done, that's okay, but it shouldn't be having people fish for information.
Okay, so just I'll put you guys' email addresses.
Thank you, Victor.
On
Yes,
the
ma'am.
Facebook post too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam President, I move that we table the board policies, the second reading.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? I guess my question is, so if we're going to table the policies at our next board meeting, would that be when we adopt them? Or would that be the second reading again?
I wonder if we could do the second reading and then the action item after
To adopt?
to adopt. That's my suggestion.
The second reading would imply that there's an opportunity for people to provide comment. And so going immediately from that to action, I think would kind of circumvent the purpose of the second reading. And the other part is that this will be now a time that they might have the opportunity to look at and actually provide input. And the approval of the minutes should only be after we look at the input and decide whether there's substantive changes that could come from the input received. So the second reading should be independent, and the approval of that should be only after we review the comments and next meeting.
So that moves us on to,
We didn't have a vote.
we didn't?
No.
I wrote past this, okay. Okay, so there was a motion by Mrs. Begay to table the board policies second reading and seconded by Guadiana. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Okay, motion passes. That moves us on to 4, unfinished business, Title IX report.
Madam President and board members, I'd like to introduce Mr. Corey. He's going to talk about progress of our Title IX implementation. He's also going to talk about safety reports. Mr. Corey?
Good evening. I'm going to do safety first, and then I'll do Title IX. So safety, one of the things we were asked about is our school safety plans, and I have one in my hand. They're secure documents, so they're not supposed to go out because they have information in them. So if you would ever like to see one, review one, just please let me know, and I gladly will share that with you. This one in my hand, it happens to be San Lorenzo. It's like 191 pages is what it prints out. So they're pretty extensive, but I welcome you at any time. I'll gladly share that information with you. Safety-wise, we got a lot going on. Palms and Associate, we've been in contact with them, and we've requested them to do 2 walkthroughs for us, one for safety and one for security. The safety one would entail things like OSHA, fire, slips, trips, falls. Of course, the security one, access control, physical security measures, communication systems, and staff awareness. So we're hoping to get on their schedule quickly. We said as soon as they were able to come, we would gladly be ready to have them to do those walkthroughs and get those reports ready so we can start working in a positive direction on those. Snell, if you've been to Snell, they have their new front door security system. It has a video system. I was there one day. Victor issues you a card. You can walk by, slide it. For us, door clicks, we're right in. If it's not, then what happens, of course, the video's right there on the secretary's desk. She's able to see who it is, speak to them, and also click them in to come into the school. One of the things we're working on as a district is signage. It's a little confusing right now. So we're working on signage, so it'll be a little easier when you walk up that parents know where to go and what to do. So that's a priority right now that we're trying to get done quickly. Also, you guys have probably seen, we're hoping a safety officer could be something that could happen for next school year. So that's something that is being discussed. Another thing is radios. We did order radios, the district ordered radios. They made it all the way here to us, and we realized that they were not going to meet our needs. They were dual chargers instead of singles, and the frequencies that the radios worked on were very easily accessible. So we made a decision to send that back, and a new purchase order is already being made for new radios, and we're working hopefully with a vendor here in town that will be able to use frequencies that cannot be accessed. So we're working quickly on that. And you see our administrative staff carries those Motorola radios that we're going to use the same one across the board. So they'll be programmed for every school will have their channel. And then if as administrative staff, if there's an emergency, we're able to go and we're able to click right into their channel to help and assist in whatever we can. I'm going to be attending a conference, Safe and Secure Schools, February 28th in Albuquerque. So hopefully getting the new, what's happening and what we can do to be better out there. Title IX, I'm switching gears on you here. So Title IX Solution is the company that we chose to do our training through. And everyone that did that training is in this room. And I want to say it was very intense. It was 4 days of training, approximately about 8 hours a day. And we went through all 4 of the disciplines that are there. So there's a coordinator was 1 day, investigator was a day, decision maker was a day, and appeals was a day. So very intense training. It was great. And the joy out of working with that company is it's like an open door for us. They're sending us videos of all of our training. They're sending us all of our training materials. And so these are all things that we can use for years to come now. Another thing that we were able to do is we invited our neighboring districts around us, and they were able to participate in the training with us as well, which generated it looked like about $4,250 back to offset the cost of our training. So that helped out immensely. The other thing that's been great with Title IX Solutions is anytime I've had questions, I've just been able to pick up the phone and call. One time I was actually sent to a judge, and the judge is who answered my question. And another time I was sent to a police officer, which was an investigator. So they have ties to people that are doing this all over the nation. And when we did our training, that was probably one of the neatest parts is the people doing the training were literally the judges, the investigators, the people that are doing this on a day-to-day basis. So I felt like we were getting the best of the best. So currently right now we've got 2 active Title IX cases in our district, and we're getting close to the end of those. Those are at decision maker. And so hopefully here in the next few weeks, we'll have those wrapped up. Sometimes the reason it takes so long is every piece has a time component to it. So anytime we send something, there can be a 10-day review period. And then behind that, there's another 10-day period. So on one of the steps, there's 20 days that are in review periods for both sides. And so it just makes the process long. So what we've done, what we've been able to do are what are called informal resolution. So I've been able to go to 2 of our schools and do Title IX cases, but what we call informal resolution is where we're not trying to find out if the person had did this or not. You know, they're saying, yes, you know, this happened and I did it. And so we're able to really take that huge process out, and we're able to do exactly the same things we would do for Title IX, but it happens immediately. And so supportive measures are put in place immediately. If there's discipline, it can happen immediately. All of those things, it just quickens the process. So anytime we're able to do that, of course, that's what I'm encouraging us as a district to do, to make that process fast and not drag on, you know, the Title IX process. Because if we go through a full investigation, it does take a really long time. Any questions? Title IX security?
Just on the Title IX, was
Yep.
that in person or was it some of it virtual? Or
It was virtual.
It was all virtual.
Yes, sir.
Question. There's, I attended a training when I was in Santa Fe, and something that bothered me is the new rules that seem to be more made for the perpetrator, for the lack of a better term, or the person who's being accused. And one is that that person cannot be subjected to any disciplinary, or not disciplinary, cannot be subjected to any protocols such as removal from schools or being escorted or staying away from certain people until the investigation is over and is found guilty. And that was very disappointing, in the same way that the tendency is now to move away from having the person that's being offended using their criteria as what they would consider to be offended as being valid. Now it's not a reasonable person understanding of that to be offensive.
So I'm curious, what you're speaking of are the new Title IX laws that are coming. Is that what
Yes.
you're talking about? So that's in our training. We had lengthy discussion on that, and it could be here, could be April or May when those come out. And they said it's going to completely change the entire process.
It's very disappointing to hear those.
So the pieces that we did get to see in here, it sounds like it's just going to get bigger and bigger and maybe even a little more difficult.
And along those lines, do we have the officers or the people that have received assignments in Title IX's name posted on our website, as well as the training and certifications?
So we all received, so we all cross-trained. So each person on the team did all 4 of the disciplines. And so we did receive our certificates, which we are going to post.
I believe it's already been posted. I've
Okay.
sent it to Victor to post
Very
already
good.
last
And
week.
then the training component as well, we're waiting for Title IX Solutions to send that to us, but they have the whole component because they know that's one of our requirements to post that on our website of the training that we received.
Very good.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you for the
Mr.
update.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corey.
So that moves us on to 4C, collective bargaining agreement.
Mr. Lewis wasn't able to make it tonight, so I think he sent all of the board members an email. So the union and district have finished the negotiations for the certified collective bargaining agreement. So next we'll be reviewing the document for spelling, page numbers, things like that. Then the members will ratify the CBA, and then it'll be presented to the board probably April at this point. Maybe sooner, but probably the first meeting in April.
Can we get a copy before ratification?
I'll find out. I'm not sure what's in the contract that we have, but I'll find out. There's a contract between parties, what could be released and what couldn't be.
And for that, our part has been kind of put on the wayside profile in terms of even being able to present our objectives, our guidance on it. So if it is not prohibited in any specific way, I would like to see a copy of that before it's ratified. And if it is prohibited, I would like to know that prohibition.
I'll find out and get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Any Any other questions or discussion? Okay, that moves us on to 4D, previous legal counsel bills.
I know that the board has asked several times about the status of the Cuddy law firm's bills. I've sent half a dozen emails. I was told back in August that they would investigate it, but we were overcharged for things that we didn't ask for. I never did hear back from them. We've still been getting bills. So that's where we're at. I've left a voice message today and sent several emails today and didn't get a response.
And I believe one of the more recent bills had to do with the response to the Attorney General's office for complaints that were filed by both President Murillo and myself. And
I have them here with me if you'd like to look at them.
well, the point of the matter is that they were submitted without board review. They were retracted retracted on our part by our current attorney, and new submissions were filed in direct contrast to the ones provided by Cuddy and McCarthy. So if anything, that lends itself more to a referral to the state bar than it does payment.
Would you like me to submit something to the state bar?
Yes.
Okay. You want to see the bills that we
The
received?
$5,000, I think it was, each one. Yeah, I see them.
Would that have to be a full board asking you to do it, or?
Probably
submit
so.
it to the
Probably
state
so.
bar?
I can put this on as an action item for the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, that moves us on to 5, Director of Finance report. A, public auction, and then B, special audit.
On January 28th, and we had a very, very good turnout. We had a lot of people here from all over the place. This auction company that put it on really has a following, and very, very good turnout. Just want to say we sold everything that was out there to sell, and we were able to bring in, we had 6 buses. They sold the 6 of them, $18,550, 17 vehicles, $24,925, and the rest of the stuff that was out there, the rest of the items, $13,376, a total of $56,851. So very, very good turnout, very good day. It went well. And then you have a comment?
No, I was just going to say it was awesome. You
Yes,
guys did
it was.
a good job, and it was a lot of work.
Oh, yes.
And I understand
Mr.
you did a lot of
Mr. Ryan spent a lot of time.
Yes.
It was a lot of preparation getting ready for that. I think
Yes.
3 or 4 days straight of.
Oh, it was more like weeks. For months. Yeah, this went back to since August. I've been prepping for this, so it's been a
My
lot.
gratitude, it was
Yeah.
a great show.
Yeah, thank you.
And $56,000. Well,
Yeah, that's
Well done.
nice. Yeah, so we're looking already, planning our next one. We'll probably have one again in May or June, around there. We'll have 2 more buses, maybe a couple vehicles, and a lot more stuff to sell.
Cool.
So we'll be well prepared for that one.
Just appreciate your efforts, and
Yeah.
your staff was obviously involved, and of course, auctioneer, so thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, on the special audit, we did receive a list from our auditors, and a lot of items we have to prepare and we have to email.
your mic, like,
Items that they have requested, so we could email them to them so they could do their audit.
and the audit committee hasn't met because of the time constraint that Mr. Ryan is working on for the PED response. But it's disappointing that, and I'm looking through the contract as to when they're on site, because this creates an enormous amount of work for staff here to transmit that information rather than they being here. We'll see if we can address that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, thank you, Mr. Ryan. That moves us on to 6, Director of Curriculum and Instruction Report. We have data review, dash plans, school calendar, and curriculum adoption. You have a lot.
I'm gonna try to share my screen. I even practiced. Thanks, Mom.
I'll remote it and I'll assist you, Miss.
So is he going to remote in? Okay, so you're gonna do the PowerPoint, Victor? Is that what he said? Okay. Where's my- Okay, so here we go. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Spalletta. Here's our PowerPoint for our assessment data for beginning of the year to middle of the year. And I do have some comparison data for our state data, which is exciting to see. You'll see it in the elementary data and our last year's data as well. And, okay. Okay, I'll just do that. Okay, so our first assessment is our 3-year-old assessment. I just wanted you to see a copy of it. It's called Ages and Stages. And we give this, it's a questionnaire, and we give the questionnaire to the parents. And the second semester in the MOY, the teachers do the assessment or the questionnaire. So you can see how it changes just a little bit. And I think also it's because you have 2 different interpretations going from the parent to the teacher sometimes. But again, we have increased our enrollment a little bit there as well from BOY to MOY. Okay. And our next one is called our ECOT, which is an early childhood observation tool. And this assessment is for kiddos that are 3 years and 4 years old, okay? So you have an example of what an ECOT looks like. And there are 7 indicators, or 7 domains, and there are 27 indicators that a teacher needs to look at. And for a child to be at grade level in a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old area, they need to be making progress, or I think it's accomplished. So one example I think I have there for you is, can a child, what was it, what did I say? Oh, on the literacy domain. One example would be, does a child understand that print carries meaning? And again, they have to be making progress for that. So you have 93%
At BOY, now it's 96 for 3-year-olds, and now 4Y is 87 and 87, which is really good data. Now, for the next slide, we have our iStation scores. And this is an assessment that we do in kindergarten, first and second grade. And this is our reading proficiency. Proficiency, again, is kiddos that are at grade level. So you have what's very exciting, and I want to say these scores are excellent. Okay, if you look at your statewide data, you see where we were last year and you see where the state ended up. These are exceptional scores. So you have kindergarten, 33% last year. We finished our district at 83%. And then first grade last year was 27. We finished at 49, 38 for second grade. We finished at 59. And again, comparative data, I mean, we are exceptional. Now, let's look at what we're doing this year. We have 19% of our kindergartners came in proficient. Now they're at 57%. That is a 38% gain. That's huge. Then you have 45 for first grade. Now we're at 61. And then second grade was 45. Now we're at 62. Okay, so that's our reading proficiency. Our math proficiency. I do not have a statewide comparison because iStation is not a mandated assessment. So they don't collect that data. But again, we had kindergarten at 83. First grade last year was 49 and second grade 59. And then you can see where we're going this year. Already, we're at 57 in kindergarten. Again, huge growth happened, 41% growth. And in first grade, we're at 58 right now. Second grade, we're at, oh, that's a typo. We're not at 19. That's a typo. I think it's more like 50 something. Okay, so we're doing good in math. And now let's go into the third, fourth, and fifth grade reading scores. This is it's called the IMASA test. And grade level, third grade. Last year we finished at 66% proficient, and state was at 67. So we were right with the state on that. Fourth grade, 54. Again, we were right at the state. It was 54. And fifth grade, our district was at 52% and the state was at 48. This year, this is where we're going. We have 36% proficient right now. State is at 28% right now. So we're higher than the state in this assessment took place in December. Fourth grade, 46. State was at 37, so we were higher than the state. And fifth grade, right now we're at 49. State was at 39. So again, a good 10% higher than the state. And this test goes along with IMASA. There are three subtests. There is reading, language usage, and math. And language usage is grammar. And we fell short last year in third grade by about 6 percentage points. I'm sorry. We were 6 percentage points higher. We were at 73%. And state was at 67. Fourth grade, we were at 63%. State was at 55. And fifth grade was at 48. And state was at 46. Again, higher than all the state. And you can see where we're at right now in the yellow, where it says MOI. Again, this was the December test. We're at 23, 33, and 35. So keep your fingers crossed. We're somewhat on target. Third grade is a little behind. So they do make gains a little later in the year. The younger kids do. And math proficiency, we have 22 last year. State was at 30. So we fell short in math. And we fell short in math in all third, fourth, and fifth. So again, 8 percentage points short in third grade, 3 in fourth grade, and 7 percentage points in fifth grade. And you can see where we're at right now. We're at 9% in third grade, 12% in fourth grade, and 25% in fifth grade. So fifth grade, they're on track for beating what they did last year. They're gonna, I know they're gonna probably have about 40% proficient, at least in fifth grade. Third grade and fourth grade is almost there. I think they're gonna do well. Third grade, we have some work to do. Okay, and some wowza things happening, right? Let's talk about our elementary schools first. So in second grade at Bayard, had the highest proficiency in reading across all second grade classrooms in the district. That class, Ms. Tovar's class, had 75% of her kiddos in her class were proficient. Again, great, that's an amazing percent proficient. Kindergarten had remarkable proficiency in math. They were at 63% proficient. And fourth grade more than doubled their proficiency on the language usage test last year. Again, that's grammar. At the beginning of the year, they were at 24. They doubled it to 50. Some incredible things happening at Central. You have kindergarten had significant growth from BOY to MOY, 51% growth. You had fifth grade, had 18% growth in math. They went from 7 to 25. And then third grade had 93% student score in needs support area on the IMASA at BOY. Now only 25% score in that area. So you had some kids move out of that red zone. Early, first grade has the highest reading proficiency in the district by 92% proficient. And amazing. Third grade had 39% growth on IMASA reading. Now they're at 44%. Kindergarten showed a 92-point average growth in math. The class went from 17% to 35. Now, MOY now only has 10% of students at risk. So that's that red color that we talked about, which is super, okay? And San Lorenzo. Kindergarten made the highest gains in math in all levels from BOY to MOY, 14 to 883. That's 69% gain. That's Miss Beagle for you right over there. Fifth grade has 44% proficient in math on IMASA. Highest math proficiency across all grade levels. And they have 8 students. And then you have fourth grade. IMASA data compared to the statewide data is remarkable. MOY at 60% for San Lorenzo and statewide is at 37%. So areas for growth. I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? So I just said math all over the place. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll into our middle school data. And this is the math assessment. I went ahead and put IMASA assessment for last year. That's the assessment they did complete. They moved over to the math for this year. They chose to do math this year. So if you look at your IMASA scores for last year compared to the state, we were at 46, state was at 52. We were at 41, state was at 47. And the 8th grade, we were at 35, and the state was at 43. And now we go into the math assessment. And again, this was done at the beginning of the year and middle of the year in December. So you see the 14 to 21, 20 to 18, they did a drop. 7th grade did a drop. And then you have 8th grade, they did do a 4% gain. And that's your reading. Math. You can see the big difference here. So you have your R math data, right? 7%. State was at 21. 7th grade, our end of year was at 8%. State was at 17%. 8th grade was at 8. Our data was at 8 and state was at 15. So again, a lot of room for growth there. We did, real quickly, I'm gonna go off on a little tangent here. The middle school does have Carnegie Math as their curriculum, and all the math teachers did receive more training this year with their curriculum. So they had differentiated PD for just them this year. So again, this year, they're going in with a different assessment, MAP. So you can see that it's, the scores are room for concern, 6%. Now we're at 4, 5, 7. Okay. Wowzers, Happy Net, smell. You have 6th and 8th grade students increased in reading from BOI to MOI. And then the BOI to MOI, the number of 6th grade students in the lowest performing band, which sometimes you call the red kiddos, decreased by 16%. In other words, they moved up 1 or 2 levels. And then from MOI to BOI to MOI, the number of 8th grade students in the lowest performing band decreased by 13%. Now let's move on to the high school. We have 9th grade is MAPS, and they were at 15% last year. Now they are at, that was their end of year. So you can see those ninth grade students are really rocking it. They're at 29% right now. So they're already they're already going to be higher than the score from last year. And then the 10th grade is at 19%. You have 11th grade now is at 14. So they had a negative, they had a decrease from their beginning of the year assessment. And then 12th grade also had a negative growth from the beginning of the year.
Is there statewide data on that?
No, there is no statewide data. No, they don't keep statewide data for maps. No. And language usage is we have 18%. And that was last year. Right now we're at 35. Okay. Again, 9th grade, that looked pretty good on the last slide too. 10th grade, we are at 25%. Last year we were at 24. So we're doing better than last year, but we did have a decrease because we started with 32% at the beginning of the year. 11th grade, we are right now at 24. I know we'll get to where we were last year, but we did have a decrease from the beginning of the year. Okay. And math, here we go again. So you have your Algebra 1. Last year we were at 14%. The middle of the year we were at 14%. But at the beginning we were at 20, so you have a negative growth. And 10th grade geometry, there was 24% last year proficient. Right now we're at 16% proficient. And you have in Algebra 2, you had 0% proficient last year, and now we're at 12% proficient. Okay. And while the things happening at Cobre, 9th grade, increased reading proficiency from 26 to 29. Students are continuing to chart data and grades in their data folders in their advisory class. Their advisory class meets after first period on Thursdays for 32 minutes. So they graph they graph their data, and then LCL is also included in that advisory class. Intervention students are showing exceptional improvement across all grade levels. And the teacher in that class is Kelly Hartman, and she does the Reading Plus curriculum. And that is it for data review. Any questions? Any questions or comments about the data? So I can move on to my next.
I appreciate the report. We haven't looked at this data to this detail in my history of being on the board. It is something that is going to be shared in the finance committee and become a part of our budget process to identify the areas that we need more resources. And to that not only will the data be included that you've given, but also student-teacher ratio. And that's something that I hope we can go into a lot of detail on. in meeting the state requirements as well as addressing the shortcomings. So I appreciate the report. I think it's going to be very helpful in us making conscious decisions on budget rather than having the veils that have been put on before. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Chavita, what curriculum is being used in math at the high school?
It's Carnegie.
Carnegie as well?
And that's the one they had their training on. So we have the middle school and the high school during their PD. You know, we have once a month PD, district PDs, and they attended their Carnegie training.
So it's been fully implemented and students are using it.
Yes.
Is there
I think that they've had it now for about 2 years.
and is there an online component as well? Or
I think so.
okay.
I have a
And I've heard
question.
good things about it. I mean, I'm not the one to speak to it. I don't know it very well, but I did talk to the instructional coach, and she said she has talked to the math teachers, and they have no complaints in regards to the curriculum.
Does the district have math interventionists?
They do not. Hence, finance committee.
And that's been for a while that they
Yes.
haven't had.
Yes, and we
Math.
definitely need it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I got it. Okay, let's move on to DASH plans. So again, DASH stands for Data, Accountability, Sustainability, and High Achievement. And this is a strategic educational plan that is unique. We need to make sure and state that. It is unique to a school's population, opportunities, and challenges. DASH plans are only at a school level. So you have in front of you some examples and samples of some DASH plans. And what happens when DASH plans are created, the school creates a team, a variety of members that represent the school, and usually about 8 members, the principal, maybe an interventionist, a teacher, the counselor sometimes, and the instructional coach. And once you create the team, then you usually wait to create a data plan. Usually what I did is I waited until I got my first set of data. And you're not going to get your first set of data until probably the end of August, because you have those kiddos that come in late. And so usually by the end of August, you meet, you convene as a team, and you start your plan. And usually you pick 1 or 2 goals. You cannot pick more than that. And then you look at your summative data from last year, just like what we did right now, this PowerPoint. You're going to look at what you did last year, and then you're going to look at what you did at the beginning of the year, and then you're going to make your plan. And then once you look at your plan, then it needs to be, once you create your plan, then it needs to be checked in every 30 days. And that is the process of a DASH plan. Any questions in regards to DASH plans?
So is there a checklist or a time where the person signs off every 30 days to ensure that that's being done?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
This data is also going to be posted per school on the website.
Yes, sir. You can access it through my page. So you just go to my department, and Victor and Daniel put it on there. And so you go to my department, and then you pick your district and your school, and you can see it. You can see part of the plan. Some of it is private. So you can see, I think, component 2 and component 5, but not all components.
So the data will, the
You can
district.
see
is-
that portion. Yes,
So,
sir.
so the district is going to provide a link to the state
Yes,
data?
and you have it.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And I can show you after the meeting, I can show you how to get on.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and go on to my next item, which is the calendar. So we wanted to make sure we heard all our voices, right? Last time we did a survey, we did it online. And I think we had maybe 10 parents did the Google survey. And we thought, you know what, let's go back to something old fashioned. We're going to go back to paper, pencil. And what we did is during our parent conferences, we created a survey. And when the teachers have the families there, they had the families fill out the survey during the conference. So we got 379 responses, which is most everybody, right? And we're being very proactive here because some of the legislation has not passed in regards to calendars. But we thought, you know what, let's ask. And we made it very clear to families that things might change, but we still want to get your opinion on things. So one of the big questions was K-5 plus and K-12 plus. Do you want your students to attend those to have an additional time added to their day? Right? Because right now in elementary, we add an additional about 45 minutes to the day. Last year, middle school and high school didn't want to add the time due to jobs, due to sports, right? So they said no last year. So we went ahead, let's ask them again. Let's ask those families again. And if you can see the response, most high school and middle school, they did not want to add that additional time to their day. Okay? But look at all the elementary schools, right? Every single one of those parents were like, yes, keep my kid an extra 45 minutes. But the nice thing about that, as of today, again, I'm speaking of today, we can do those programs. We don't have to have middle school and high school do the program. We can just have elementary do it. The next question was 10 days, the ELTP. Would you like, and we had both high school, middle school, and elementary schools. They all did the extra 10 days this year. And if you look at it, most everybody wants to do the 10 days, which is 198 families said, yes, let's stick with the 10 days, right? And then we had another question on there, which was your Christmas break. Do you want your Christmas break earlier or do you want it later? And everybody liked it later this year, right? They didn't want to come back after their New Year's Eve party, okay, the next day. Now, we would like the Christmas to look somewhat like Silver's, so we're going to wait and see what Silver comes up with, okay? And then question number 4 was, how would you like the holidays, the Monday holidays, the Monday federal holidays to play out? And most everyone said they would like it to stay like it was this year, right? So sometimes we observe those Monday holidays on a Friday. Okay. And
Ms. Chavita, sorry to interrupt.
yes,
On the top question 1,
yes.
would that add an extra 45 minutes on top of the already current 45 minutes that elementaries
No.
are doing?
No.
So it'd stay the same?
It's going to stay the same.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that's why you had so many parents want it in the elementaries, because they've done it. They know what it's like.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Any questions in regards to the calendar? And the staff survey was very similar. Let me see if I could go back. Staff was, most everybody at Cobre and Snell said no to that additional time. You only had 5 employees that they wanted to go the additional time. But everyone else, Bayard, Central, Hurley, San Lorenzo, they were up to the additional time. Again, they've done it this year. The 10 days, you have 95 said yes, 58 said no. It was a close call at Cobre. It was a close call at Central, but everybody else, it was pretty obvious. And then they voted the same as the parents in question 3 and question 4. They both want a later Christmas break, and they would also like to stick with the federal holidays as it was this year. Okay.
I have a question as well. When you talk about the extra 45 minutes,
Yes,
does
sir.
that mean 4 days versus 5 days?
4 days, just a longer day. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mhm. Any other questions in regards to the calendar? We're meeting as a committee, and I think it's next week. And we'll talk about the results. This is only results. Nothing has been put into plan. And then we will come up with a couple of calendars to choose from. Okay, next on the agenda is the curriculum adoption. So this has been a busy year of curriculum. And we adopted bilingual curriculum. And we spent quite a bit of money on that, about $150,000 on curriculum for bilingual. We adopted that. Teachers have been trained and they have received their materials, and they like it. And they love that curriculum. Next thing on the plate is ELA adoption for kindergarten through 8th grade. And what we did on that, we wanted the teachers to see the materials and hold them and touch them and turn the pages. And so what we did is we brought 4 to 5 vendors in, and they brought materials to every school. And the teachers filled out a rubric with just looking at the materials, right? There was no sales person pitching anything. So they filled out a rubric. Now, our next step with that is to bring the sales people here, right? To bring the vendors and the publishers. So what we have done is we have set our next PD day is March 3rd. So kinder through 8th grade ELA, we will be meeting at Hurley in the big lab, and we will have presentations from 4 to 5 vendors for about an hour. And then we'll fill out another rubric. Once that is done, because I wanted to get as many stakeholders' opinions as possible, and then then we have a committee that will make the final decision. And the committee will meet, review all the rubrics, and then hopefully we'll make our final decision in April. Then, after that, we have a social studies adoption coming up. And what is lovely is, because we missed the ELA adoption, but what's lovely about social studies when everybody's on the same plate is we have the RECs doing that for me, right? So they're bringing in the vendor, the REC in Deming is bringing in all the social studies vendors. And so what we're doing is I have about 7 people. We're going to Deming on March 1st and March 2nd, and we are looking at the materials and the publishers on that day. And then we'll make a final decision on the social studies curriculum. So yeah, so we have a lot going with curriculum. And I think that's it on curriculum. Any questions on that? And then we'll talk quickly about our walkthroughs of today.
I have a quick question. I guess this was my biggest concern with the Martinez-Yazzie lawsuit, that making sure the new curriculums are culturally and linguistically responsive.
Yes, and I think a lot of them are right now. And we would not even, so what you do on a curriculum to even bring them here, they have to have high ratings on the ed report. And so, and the ESSA ratings. And so what you do, you're not going to bring in a vendor that does not have high ratings, right? And all these people do.
Okay. I'm glad to hear you're
Yes.
using ed report.
Yes. Okay, so our next, I just
Ms.
wanted.
Chavita, I had a question too. With kindergarten, I know they use Starfall, so was there any pushback to let go of that curriculum?
No,
with
I think
their
they don't
success?
use they use Starfall as a supplement. I
Okay.
would never suggest it as their core curriculum. And so what they would do is just use some of the games and project them on their overhead. But using Starfall as a supplement is just fine.
So there'll still be a lot.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
great. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I have a question as well. Board's responsibility is to have oversight over the curriculum as well. And I'm kind of concerned that you're going to be reaching a final decision absent that review. Is there a time to
We'll
integrate?
bring it to you. Yes, we'll always bring
And-
our choice to you.
And yet again, I want to express my gratitude that this is a new step for the board as well.
Okay.
And that is probably the most critical in terms of making sure that we have a curriculum that is going to take us where we need to go, as opposed to what we've had in the past. And also there's in the past lack of books and different things like that. So your service is greatly appreciated.
Well, I want to talk to Dr. Splitta. When he came, he told me send out an email making sure that that teachers know if they need anything to get with you. And I did have a lot of teachers say, I need this. I know I had missed the gay, said I need novels. And so we put in, it was about over $1,000 of novels for her classroom. And so I hope that teachers know if they need anything that they just need to send us an email and we'll look into it.
A very welcome change. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Dean has her hand raised.
Oh.
Hi, I was just wondering if we could be able to see the curriculum as well prior to approval.
Yes.
And you said, but you kind of, so if I'm asking the same question again.
Oh, no, of course. You're welcome to, if, I don't know, Liz, if you have time to come on March 1st and 2nd or March 3rd. I don't know what your time is like, but I know the vendors usually do leave a lot of their materials with us. So we still have the materials with us.
Okay, and if you could just send me an email and just let me know time, place, and I'll make myself available. Thank you so much.
Oh, I would love that. Okay, good. Okay, next on the agenda before you guys fall asleep on me is I wanted you to know that we're trying to do some more classroom walkthroughs. In your board packet, you have this at the end. And so today we did some walkthroughs with the principals, the instructional coach, Dr. Spalletta, and we walked through, I think it was San Lorenzo this morning, and we did Central this afternoon, and we have 2 schools set up for tomorrow and 2 schools for Monday. And we wanted to make sure that teachers didn't feel like it was more of a gotcha, but more of like, you know what, we're just, first of all, I'm new at this job. I was not able to be in all the schools, so now it's kind of exciting. I get to see what everybody's doing, and how can I speak to anything if I don't know what's happening? And so I feel that the teacher's really excited about it. I gave you a sample of what we left in the classroom today. And we always started with a glow statement, what are they doing well? And then a grow statement was more of a question, what have you thought about this? So we plan on doing, Dr. Spalletta and I have talked, we plan on doing this one time in the fall and one time in the spring.
Thank you. And I did get feedback about the walkthroughs, and the teachers I spoke to were really grateful that admin was coming through and seeing what they were doing, because they're very proud of their work, of what they're doing, and they welcome anyone into their classroom.
We saw
So
some
thank you.
amazing things at both schools today. So we're excited about tomorrow.
I also got feedback on the teachers getting feedback on what's going well for them and where they can improve.
Right.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I'm done.
Just the other comment, but the previous years, silos were the course of action. Everyone operated as in their own silo. And this action is yet again a very good step in the right direction. And I want to thank both you and Dr. Spalletta for the leadership on this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, so that moves us on to 7, Director of Human Resources Report. And you have current openings, 120-day data, submission, job fairs, educator fellows, residency programs, salary schedule update, and substitutes and bus drivers.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Spalletta. First item on the current openings, I'll go by school for you guys. So at Bayard Elementary, we're still looking for a SPED teacher, and that was to replace the teacher that had left us. Still 2 SPED EAs, and we do have a long-term EA in one of those positions right now, but we're really wanting to hire 2 EAs in that school. Central Elementary, and I'm going to combine part of Cobre. They're still looking for a counselor. They did interview a counselor, and that position was not taken. We do have other applicants for that that I need to share that we just got for that position, so they can start interviewing again. Hurley Elementary is still looking for a half custodian along with Snell. There was an interview for that position, and there's going to be a recommendation. So I'll be getting the papers from Mrs. Martinez. So hopefully that one will be completely filled. One permanent sub. I know she's working on a person there to fill that position too. She just came in today. We need to get her background and all that, so that hopefully will be filled.
And then the one EA is a one-to-one. They just got a new student, and so they had to do some homework and hopefully get that one filled for her. San Lorenzo, we're still trying to fill the one EA position there. Snell Middle School, we talked about the half custodian, and we still need a 1.5 teacher there for SPED and 2 SPED EAs. At the high school, they're still looking for a security guard, and that was a permanent substitute for that job for right now. The district, we still have the postings for the Director of Finance, Director of Operations and Transportation, and the principal for that. Food service, she actually needs 2 positions there. She did hire 1, and we were waiting for fingerprints on 2. So hopefully we'll get those completed and filled. Finance department, yay, they're fully staffed. I think Frank's happy about that. Transportation and operations, one groundkeeper. There was an interview that was completed, so hopefully that will be filled as well. Special education, we're still looking for a 0.5 school psychologist, a 0.5 occupational therapist, and a 0.5 SLP. We did hire an aide. There was an interview, and so we're just pending that person's background check, so that one would be filled. And Snell Middle School is still looking for 1 permanent sub to fill at their school. Any questions on the current openings?
I have a question regarding the fellows. How many fellows do we have, and where are they at?
Okay, that is number letter D on this, so we can jump to that real quick. We have, right now, we had 5 fellows. We did have 1 more person that we added to the fellows that started this semester, and I have 1 pending, just completing some stuff that we might be placing as well. So right now we have 3 at Cobre High School, 1 at Central Elementary, 1 at San Lorenzo, and 1 that did half at Snell, and this semester is doing half at one started the semester at Snell Middle School and is switched to elementary, so at Hurley Elementaries, where that person will be finishing off the semester.
So was it Snell and moved to?
For this semesters now, we'll be finishing up at Hurley Elementary.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on the fellows? Okay. So backing back up, the 120 days submission, it has started. So we have still quite a few days to get that completed and submitted to the state. And the state has 10 days. And then of course our budget analyst will take the days that they need to finalize that. So we have started 120th reporting. Job fairs. I reached out to,
Could you give me a date when that report's due, the 120?
I think they gave us till the 23rd for us. There's a holiday that's in there. So they gave us till the 23rd.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is this better? Okay, so for the job fairs, I've reached out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colleges or areas close to us that have confirmed dates that they'll be doing some job fairs. So Eastern New Mexico University, their dates are March 30th and 31st. Cochise College is March 23rd and 24th. That's in Arizona. NMSU is April the 24th. UNM is April the 26th. UTAP is April the 28th. So those are.
Does Western have a job fair?
I didn't reach out to them. I've emailed, so I'm waiting to get a response from them. So I'm sure they have one right around the same time.
And so I also left a message with, there's a college in Thatcher too, a community college. So I'm waiting a response from them as well. So as soon as I get that, I'll have it on here as well. And so we can register and do those. So we did talk about the educator fellows already. So the residency program, we do have 2, and they're both at Hurley. And the salary schedules on letter F, we will be meeting again with the finance committee on Wednesday to continue working on those. And then our substitute and bus drivers, we've had 6 new substitutes join in. We have 5 that have not even done their background check. So I'm following up with them to see if they're going to complete that too, so we can get them going. And then we also had 2 bus drivers that had applied, but one, when I contacted them, they went ahead and took a full-time job and said they couldn't do the bus driving anymore. And so we did have one finally complete his paperwork. So we're going to get him with the training that he needs so we can get him on with the activities. Any questions?
I appreciate your report.
Thank you.
Okay, so that will move us on to 8, Director of Special Education report, the Equity Council.
Okay, so update for Equity Council. Currently, I have this semester, I've met twice with our district Equity Council team on the 24th and then the 1st of February, or the 26th and the 1st of February. So 26th of January and 1st of February to complete the readiness assessment. The 1st of February, there was a small group. So we did complete the readiness assessment. I did send it out to the members and I'm waiting for some feedback back. So that way I can upload that, but it is complete and I anticipate having the readiness document ready to present at our next board meeting and review with you guys. And then now that Suzanne was talking about curriculum, maybe I can get with her to see if some of our members are kind of on the same committee that you have, Suzanne, and then maybe some parents to review those materials for curriculum as well.
Does anyone have any questions for Mrs. Minus?
Ms. Minus, I had a question. I had spoke last time about possibly filling some of those positions with our neighboring districts. Has that been talked about? Because I know you said you needed several positions to fill.
Yes, I still need, currently I have 8 members. I'm looking for 7 more, still actively looking. I have a district lead meeting on the 23rd that I can ask and see if that would be allowable and how we can join forces.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That moves us on to 9, Director of Operations report, maintenance walkthroughs and painting projects.
Madam President, members of the board, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Avalos as far as the maintenance walkthroughs. He walked every school with Dr. Spalletta. I walked some of them. Pat's has done an outstanding job since he's been over there. And he'll tell you a little bit about the maintenance walkthroughs and what they found out.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Spalletta, thank you for the opportunity. Last couple of weeks, we did have an opportunity to go and walk several of the campuses, well, actually all the campuses, and go through and review just some of the things. When you're walking down the hall, obviously, you do pick up things right away that definitely are either eyesores that they stick out like a sore thumb. And those are the ones that you pick up and you write them down and say, hey, these are going to be things that we need to get our people on. Of course, our just a quick word about our staff members, our maintenance guys. Obviously in the last few months, Mr. Kennan and I working with those gentlemen, you learn what their strengths are, what their capabilities are, and then you match that to what the needs of the school district are. That's been a real good little blend that we found that we were able to assign certain people to certain tasks, and they have a little bit of expertise in certain things. Could be anything from working on the walls, our electrical people, our plumbing people. During those walkthroughs, of course, you start looking and trying to pinpoint where are the highest priority needs. And then also you start looking at just the general things that maybe just a touch of a wall, or maybe there's one of the water fountains might be doing a little bit of dripping. And then you start building your schedules based on what those needs are. The good thing about the walkthroughs is that going through and looking at the schools, something that was working a week ago can turn around and now be in a definite need of repair. Could be a high level repair where it's requiring maybe just the whole unit. For example, our heating units, our water fountains, could be we have to come in and replace those whole things just from a matter of 1 week to the other. Of course, our schools are aging. It hasn't been long since we redid our schools, but you're finding that we're in excess of 8 to 10 years now, where you're starting to find a lot of breakdowns in the piping, breakdown in the heat, and those are continually, we're addressing those on a daily basis. Of course, during the day, we'll look through after, of course, the walkthroughs with Dr. Spoletta. I'm in those buildings constantly. Mr. Kennan is in those buildings constantly. We're getting actual, the work orders are coming in from the principals on a daily basis for things that come up that we were not aware of. So it's a continuum of work that comes at us. And of course, we're going out and looking for work, and once we get out there and we see that, we assign our people, we try to get those things back on order. And before you know it, next day comes and there's some more things. One thing that I do notice now is that when we're going through the buildings, we've been attacking a lot of big projects, like our heaters, soon to be coolers, some of our water system situations. And of course, the big one is our roofs. We still have a little bit of a lot of work ahead of us in order to get those all to where we're in, we can say that our roofing is at 100% capacity, but that's not the case right now. A lot of patching going on. Of course, with that, any type of leak automatically equates to tiles that are showing that that's happening. We have spent oodles of money this year on trying to keep up with the tile situation. And but we have had some people come in and work on the roofs, and we have seen some improvement in a lot of our schools, with just that patching has been happening. And when I first came in, of course, there was a lot of attention being paid to that, and we're starting to see that it's starting to kind of come back around now, where we're not having to do so much of that, and that we're able to now address these other items that maybe weren't high priority. They now are becoming, and now something that we are paying a lot of attention to. When we walk through, I think Dr. Spoletta can attest to this. A lot of light bulbs, a lot of tiles, not necessarily the big items. There's a few things that the high school definitely, that's the old guy in as far as our schools. And there's a lot of attention that needs to be paid there. Hopefully that now that we're starting to see it kind of leveling off at the other schools, we'll be able to start attacking and knocking off a lot of those projects in the high school just to get it back into good shape where it should be. Any questions?
On your punch list,
yes.
How often do you plan on going back to see? I mean, based on the work orders that you submit and they're signed off, do you go back and just do a punch list to see?
You got to go back and look at and finish up projects. Good example, like last week we had last couple of weeks we had walls done. Went back through and said, hey, you need to touch up that paint. You got the taping done, everything's done. You need to finish up that project. And then another influence another point of emphasis that I have had with our workers is to make sure that they're you're there, you do the work. Do not show you were there. Make it look nicer than when you went there in the first place. And we're working on those things, just trying to make sure they're picking up after themselves, not making what we say is don't generate another work order with the work that you've done by not finishing up your projects. And we're working on that. They're just things, it's a habit of mind that, the custodian will pick that up. We want to make sure that they're finishing up their projects. And that's really been a big point of emphasis of just turning over the quality of work in that department as well. Just to get those guys back on track and have them work on those things within themselves as workers, take pride in what they're doing.
Just another question, does some of the work that's gonna be done, are we gonna have to solicit outside contractors to get that done?
Yes, we are, because some of the projects, especially the roofing projects, and hopefully down the road, maybe even the air conditioning for the high school gym, things like that. You know, those are big projects, and they're gonna entail some big expenditures. And of course, we'll have to go through procurement and do what we need to do to make sure that we're following that as best as we can.
Thank you.
I have some comments as well. This again is another move in a direction that is welcomed. Environment plays such a critical role in the success of the students and the interest in it. So I appreciate the efforts that are going on, and it's good. It's good to see that. And the other parts are. You mentioned concerns about the HVAC systems. What are the major ones? Because I thought those were kind of on the.
They're on the mend, they are.
Yeah.
But again, still throughout the whole district, we're all using the same water. And that water is corroding those pipes. And we have blowouts every now and then that we got to need to get into. Of course, those are the repairable issues. Within the units themselves, they are also starting to, the calcium buildup, the mineral buildup, boy, it tears those up. And our plumber is constantly finding a leak here or there, trying to get that repaired. That's the visible ones. That's where the leaks are happening. But within the units themselves, it's been a good 8-10 years that they've been active, and they're starting to take a little bit of a hit on having to deal with environmental issues.
Are those closed systems?
Yeah, for what you're asking, yeah, they'd be closed systems. I want to also add that, we patched a lot of these HVAC systems, and then there comes a point where we just can't patch them anymore. A good example was at the cafeteria, where we bought two different compressors, and it ran for just about a day or two, and then it went, and we're getting a new one for the cafeteria. We're taking bids, not bids, but quotes right now. So, and most of it, we're finding that if we go to the classrooms, we want to go to the split systems. They're smaller, they're easier to work on. When one room goes down, it doesn't affect 6 other rooms. You can also control it because as many years I've been in this, I would love to see the whole staff like the same temperature, but they don't. And teachers are all different in every classroom. So we're going mostly to split, unless it's a big area like, cafeteria or library or something like that.
When you mentioned the compressors, those aren't ones that are using the water. Those aren't in the water system. Those
No.
So in the ones that are using the closed water system, do we have water softeners?
Yes.
Do we have filters?
Yes, we do. Hurley's a good example of that. We have that, and right now, Hurley's running pretty well. We did have a problem earlier in the year, and we had to get a trained technician to kind of walk us through it because it got real complicated. But Hurley is the newest one as far as the water system.
And do the others have filtration?
No, not all of them. No. We that's where we're using those split units without the water.
And in an overview, we're supposed to have a preventative maintenance schedule. We don't. We have like 2 or 3 items listed on one. Are we moving so that we can make assessments of such things as that and say we need to put in filters or softeners and then come to a full PM schedule?
Yeah, I agree with you. Our HVAC guy, Jaime, he, for instance, did all of Hurley about 3 weeks ago. Changed all out, the filters and everything, and did the routine maintenance of it, the entire school. So, but we need to get that on a schedule. You're absolutely correct. We're busy replacing some right now. I mean, all of them. We're going to end up, 80%, 75% of the systems at the high school, because they're just the old systems that are just worn out. Today I got word we've had You mentioned contractors. We've had electrical contractors and HVAC contractor look at our walk-in freezers at the high school. And they worked on it. I've called them out numerous times. And finally, they just said, you know, you're going to have to get a new unit, not the entire freezer, but the unit that cools it. So we're getting prices on that.
The good thing about that also is that in anticipation of future big projects or just like you want us to do, the guys themselves are pretty knowledgeable on the equipment that is out there. And they see those water heaters that have been in service 8 to 10 years and saying, hey, this one has, if we can squeeze another year or two of life out of them, you know, we're lucky. You know, they look at those things and they anticipate that at some point that's going to go up pretty soon. You know, it's working okay. They're kind of working it along to where it's still functional and it's still effective. But we're finding that, you know, the best resources are guys that are out there working on those, and they let us know exactly what we need to anticipate. Maybe some water heaters here or there, or some an air conditioning system going out, or, you know, we definitely take their words very seriously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Avalos.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
D, painting projects.
We're accepting quotes to paint San Lorenzo and the administration building. That's the east side and the south side. And this side and over there.
Are you sure?
You know, I was raised in Cruces where they have the mountains on the east side, El Paso's to the south, Albuquerque's to the north, and then you have the horizon. And then I come here and it's all messed up. And we have very strict criteria that we've sent out with when we want people to submit quotes. And I'd be happy to send this to each of the board members criteria, because with painting, as any of you know that have ever done any painting, if you don't do all the stuff before you paint, then you're going to end up with a lousy job. And we're going to accept quotes up to March 8th. This gives contractors time to get things together and price out paint and things like that. We expect the painting to begin the late spring or maybe even summer, because they're going to have to order it, and then also weather. Again, I'll be happy to send you this, what I sent out to contractors and anybody that requests it.
Yes, please.
And I stand for questions.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kennan. That moves us on to superintendent's report. C, teacher of the year banquet. And then we can go on from there.
Ms. Chavita and I have worked on or discussed an idea of having a teacher of the year banquet to recognize our staff. So there would be teachers, classified staff, and administrators. We're planning this for the end of April or early May. So we've just had some early discussions, but we feel like having an end of the year recognition for staff is important. So we're working on that. In your packet, there's a two-page document. The themes that I discussed from the entry plan, I'm gonna read through those for those people that don't have this. Safety and security, special education, maintenance issues, technology, curriculum materials, food services, the cafeteria, customer service, and social emotional learning, bullying, counseling services. Those were the areas that emerged from the entry plan in the stakeholder meetings. So the first thing that I'm going to do is develop committees. Those committees will be social and emotional support, safety, school improvement, convocation, recruitment of students, recruitment of staff, culture, post-entry plan, summer fest, and then interview committee. I'll be looking for staff members. I'll be looking for community members to join those committees to help move those areas forward. I actually was meeting with Mr. Hawkins, and Senator Hemphill came by, and we had a discussion about social and emotional support. So we're having a meeting actually tomorrow. Some of the staff members are in the district, and then again next week to talk about some funding sources for social and emotional support in the buildings. We're really excited about that. So it's a good start on our committees. We've already got a lot of people that are interested in supporting those areas. So the next thing on the agenda is legislative session, and Mr. Guadiana, I don't know if you want to go first or if you'd like me to go first.
I can go both. I don't have report the three major points of concern of COVID, and one had to do with our request for $400,000 for our IT equipment upgrade. The report that I have centers on three primary concerns for COVID that I had the opportunity to listen to. And one of them is the $400,000 that's going, the $400,000+ that is going towards safety equipment for the schools. That's radios, cameras, and such. And then a $500 request $500,000 request for building for gymnasiums. I think it was targeted at the intent of the wrestling gym, which the 500,000 won't go towards that. It would go more towards the gym that we were looking at in Santa Clara. And the other very, very big thing that was going on was a discussion about the ratio that the district would pay in the construction of a new building. There's a bill that was passed that would bring the ratios down significantly. We were previously at an 80% contribution rate for new construction, and now it is 53%. And that would bring our contribution, if we do build a $30 million high school, to $16 million, which is still cost prohibitive. The governor, on the other hand, when we met with as part of the Grant County Prospectors group, we had an hour meeting with the governor, and the governor made it a very clear assignment to Lieutenant Governor Morales and to also Senator Hemphill to eliminate a contribution from the schools for new buildings, saying that there is a significant amount of money that's available for capital outlay specifically for these purposes, and that the contribution rates are prohibitive, and as a result, the money doesn't get spent. So that was very encouraging, but that was not. I don't think that floated through the legislature at this point. Unless you have anything more on that.
So the $486,000 is what we originally went to in, I guess, November for safety and security of the building. That was the funding from our representative and our legislator. And I think Mr. Kinnan may have asked for additional money beyond that, but I only saw the $486,000 on the list.
Yes, I did. I just about doubled it. I just been in education too long. You know, you always ask for a little more and hope for the best. It didn't work out. But,
it didn't come out, but the $500,000 was added
from the governor's office.
Yes, from the governor's office.
Well, that's actually something that Lieutenant Governor Morales put on there.
Right.
Yes,
he did that on his own. So, and that's to support some of the athletic facilities here.
There's several different legislative items that are passed through that I'll submit copies of to the members. But one of them was specifically in the presentation by the School Board Association, and that had to do with, I think it was HBO 131, which had to do with the consequences that would be placed on inappropriate behavior by school boards, and including nepotism. And there were several others that were included there. The association did not support that. And the irony was that the School Board Association not president, but the executive director made it a point to say that superintendents hire the people. So if there's nepotism involved, they should be facing the consequences, not the board members, which a lot of us just sat back and said, superintendents would not engage in nepotism if it was not by the encouragement and the contract that is done by the school board members. So there's some circulation that was in support of that bill. In addition, I met with other people such as Dr. Manzanares and the CEO for HMS, Mr. Ortero. And we talked a lot about things that can be coordinated with the district, primarily related to school to career. I met with Dr. Manzanares and his staff to discuss the development of a curriculum that has career pathways all the way from elementary through high school. And there's a meeting that's going on this Friday, and everybody should be receiving an invitation to that regarding the dual enrollment, what it is, the criteria is for dual enrollment, what they want to see, and how they hope to increase it. Cobre's down on dual enrollment. And that'll be this Friday from 8 to 12 at the Global Resource Center at Western. Board members are also invited to attend. And there was also the training on Title IX, which I already touched to as far as the changes are concerned. There was a presentation also on curriculum and how it ties to budget. And this was a great segue to that in terms of what's already done and what we're in the process of doing. That would summarize my report.
I just want to add that, so we're halfway through the a little bit over halfway through the legislative session. So far, there's been more education bills than there was all last year. Of course, these won't be signed by the governor until the first week of April, but one of the biggest ones is House Bill 130. That's the increase in instructional time. So there's 3 different versions to that, and I'm probably not a good time. It'll probably change in the next few days, but there's another bill, I guess the opposite bill, House Bill 194. So those are two really big ones about instructional time. House Bill 102 is employee insurance. That's a pretty big one. House Bill 143 is training hours for school board members. And then House Bill 131, I think you mentioned this a little bit, eliminates the offset of bonds, and it'll reduce the match by 1/3. So like you said, we're at 80-something% for one of our buildings at least, so it would drop it down to 50%. School graduation requirements is House Bill 126. Senate Bill 367 had to do with elementary students' absences. And then Senate Bill 4 is an important one for schools, that all students can eat free, and then they'll also be support in that bill for upgrades to kitchens, which we've spent a lot of money on upgrades to our kitchens, but that's one that will help us a lot. House Bill 285 creates a New Mexico Public Education Department SPED office, really to prioritize supporting special education educators across the state. So those are the ones that I thought were really important. Mr. Hawkins and I met on Saturday for a couple hours and discussed these, and we're going to try to keep in touch on how these affect us. So I'll be reporting back, I'm sure, next time on more education legislation too.
And Mr. Hawkins did make the presentation on behalf of the schools, both Cobre and Silver, as well as Aldo, when he discussed, we had the discussion with the governor. He addressed that, and part of that discussion had to do with the $15 million that's being sought by Western for the development of the
Grant County Technical School.
Yeah, technical school at Green Hurley and Bayard.
Mm-hmm.
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
So next up is an attendance and enrollment information. This is in your packet. Ms. Mathis wasn't able to be here tonight, so I told her that I would review it with you. Should be 3 pages. Looking at our enrollment from October 21st to February 6th, we've dropped in enrollment overall from 1,022 students to 1,007 students. And you can see the breakdowns. This includes the 3Y and 4Y students. Next page is the attendance rate, and I know we've gotten some new technology software to go through our system, so this is pretty accurate, much more accurate than it was before. October 21st shows the attendance rates for each of our campuses, and then current attendance rate as of February 3rd. Attendance letters that have been sent out each quarter. And then the last page has attendance contracts. So I've asked that these contracts be developed with the teacher and the student if the student falls below 80% attendance. As you can see, our secondary schools have quite a few attendance contracts, and she monitors those on a regular basis and talks to the students at those schools. So right now we have 72 attendance contracts between all of our campuses.
Did you say that 80%?
Less than 80% attendance gets an attendance contract at the secondary schools. I don't know that all of them have that. I don't believe all of them have that.
That just seems pretty high to start getting into a contract. It should be, I would think it would be significantly less.
Well, most of our schools have 90% or higher. In fact, they all have 89% or higher attendance rate.
Oh,
If you're missing,
I'm sorry. I thought you meant that their attendance rate, that they were absent 80% of the
oh
time.
no,
That's
if they're below 80% of the time, that means they're missing probably 4 days a month of school, which is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of an update where we're at as far as attendance. Is there any questions I can answer about attendance? No, okay. So right now, we just started today an instructional technology audit. There's not really been an oversight of the technology department as far as something like this goes. This will happen all week this week. Just some of the other audits that we've had. Company by the name of Elite through CES is going to be doing an audit of our technology system, engineering, assessment of the network, tracing and logging of firewall, downstream, activity, monitoring, assessment of emails, pretty much a thorough audit of our technology system. So I'm sure by the next board meeting, I should be able to give a report of their audit. And I know this is something the board's asked me to do for the last 2 or 3 months. I'm glad we've gotten a chance to do it. I'll be attending the National Superintendent Conference in San Antonio this week. Wanted to let you know some of the sessions that I plan to attend, and I hope to report back on some good information that I've learned from these. Personalized learning, technology innovations, student-run businesses, workforce skills and opportunities, recruitment and retention of teachers, academic recovery, creating pathways, re-imaging the high school experience, culture of safety, teacher residency program, and community partnerships with faith leaders. All of the superintendents in New Mexico that are attending, we're going to get together on Thursday night for dinner and to kind of share information. So that's this week. Also in your packet is a timeline for our 5-year strategic planning. Starting on February 27th, we'll determine who the participants are. I think there's 7 stakeholder groups. We'll send out letters to the participants, and I wanted to wait until after spring break so that people don't forget about it. So we'll send those letters out right after spring break. We'll post a public invitation to those people that might still want to attend if they didn't get an invitation. So on March 21st, we'll have a needs assessment meeting, and that'll be led by David with CES. So he'll report back at the board meeting. Well, he'll complete the report on the 25th from that assessment meeting, and then he'll report back to the board on the March 27th board meeting. I'd like to hope that we can set up a retreat so that we can work on our vision, mission, develop a strategic plan with our administrators. That would be somewhere around the 1st of April. And then after that, the administrators will develop action plans on how we're going to implement these goals and actions of the strategic plan. So I know this is a lot of information, and he could probably explain it a little bit more than me, since he'll be kind of leading us through all of this. Anybody have any questions or thoughts on the strategic planning?
Is it possible to have, who is the contractor?
David, I can't think of his last name. He came to our meetings back in May, I think. Chavez,
Yeah,
yes,
Chavez.
yes, that's right.
Is it possible that he could do a presentation to the board early on, so that way it can be a public discussion and people are aware of the...
Sure,
of the
yeah, I
efforts?
talked to him today, and I'm sure he'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Also in your packet, there's a number of fundraisers. And then the last thing on my list is we had, Frank and I had a discussion with Freeport about taxes a couple months ago, and they've asked to have another discussion. And I think that's set up for March 8th.
Madam President? And Dr. Spiletta, is it possible for, I would like to attend that meeting. I'm familiar with the tax rate now being based on production, the ad valorem tax, and I'd really be interested in that discussion.
I don't have any problem with anybody else attending. They brought their whole staff, their administrative staff, so that'd be great.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Dr. Spiletta. So that moves us to 13, public input items of concern. Does anybody have public input? Is there any online?
I have received a concern from a parent, had to do with student-teacher ratios, and it was in the elementary school, but it's generally one that encourages us to look at student-teacher ratios to make sure compliance with statutes and just look at overall performance.
Thank you. Anything online?
No, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And one more, Mr. Brett, I believe is his name, or Brad, I'm sorry, that does the,
Holgram?
yes, had submitted a estimate of the hours that it would take to do the maintenance on the golf area there at the high school, and would like to see that discussed in the finance committee meeting as far as allocating resources for the continuation of that, being that there may be a lot of the people that do the volunteer work may not be available next year.
I spoke to Mr. Holgram and let him know that it would be on the finance committee agenda.
Did he give you the list?
He did. He emailed
Okay.
me the list as well.
I have the list too, and we'll put it on there for next week.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you. So that moves us on to item 14, executive session. Notice is hereby given so that the Board of Education of the Cobre School will meet in executive session for the following purposes. A, so that the superintendent can update and discuss limited personnel matters as permitted under section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, specifically the hiring, promotion, demotion, dismissal, assignment or resignation of, or the investigation of employees of the superintendent. B, limited personnel matters as permitted under sections 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, specifically so that legal counsel and investigator can update the board regarding the status of investigations of complaints against the superintendent.
Madam President, I move that we go into executive session for the purposes just listed.
There's a motion. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do, is there any further discussion? We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Vice President Begay?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Secretary Terrazas?
Yes.
And Mr. Guadiana?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go into closed executive session. It is 7:10 p.m. She's having trouble logging in. Okay, Lisa's having trouble getting back into the meeting.
She just has to re-click on the link. If you'd like, I can email it to her or add her on again, but she has to accept it, or she could just go back to the email or the calendar to log back in. I just now resent the meeting invite to her.
Yes, please. Oh, this is from Mrs. Chavita.
Okay.
There she is. Okay, so we will reconvene in open session at the conclusion of the closed session with the statement affirming that no action was taken in executive session and that discussions were limited to personnel matters. Entertain a motion.
So moved, Madam President, that we come back from an executive session.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Dean,
Yes.
Vice President Begay,
Yes.
myself, yes. Secretary Terrazas?
Yes.
Mr. Guadiana?
Yes.
We're back in open session at 8:06 p.m. Okay. I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Do we have to vote on it? No, okay. Okay,
We need a second.
oh, a second.
Yeah, second.
Second. Okay, we're adjourned at 8:06 p.m.
Okay, there it is. Keep that.
Turn this on.